I never imagined myself caught up in neighborhood drama, but here we are. My partner, Jamie, and I purchased our dream home 6 months ago in Pinecrest Estates, a seemingly peaceful suburban neighborhood with tree-lined streets and perfectly manicured lawns. The house itself was ideal: 4 bedrooms, a spacious backyard, and even a small workshop where I could dive into my woodworking hobby. The only caveat was Pinecrest Estates Homeowners Association, or HOA. While I'd heard horror stories, the rules initially seemed reasonable, the monthly fees manageable, and the amenities, like the pool and tennis court, worth the price. The neighbors we met during our walkthrough were welcoming. What could possibly go wrong? Enter Deborah Wilson, the HOA president. I first met her during our second week in the house, when she appeared at our door carrying a welcome basket that turned out to be a folder of HOA bylaws tied with a ribbon. "Hello, I'm Deborah Wilson, president of the Pinecrest Estates HOA," she greeted with a smile that never reached her eyes, scanning our front yard with subtle disapproval. Jamie was working that day, leaving me to endure Deborah's 20-minute sermon on grass height regulations, mailbox standards, and the designated day for trash pickup. I nodded, thanked her, and left the folder to gather dust on the kitchen counter, a decision I would later regret. Our first official clash came a month later when a notice appeared on our door. Our crime? Leaving trash bins at the curb 12 hours after pickup. In reality, Jamie and I had both worked late and moved them early the next morning. But Deborah, had photographed the bins at 7 p.m. and issued a warning by 8 a.m. the next day. I called the HOA office, only to hear Deborah's syrupy voice.
"This is Deborah Wilson speaking. How may I assist you?"
After explaining, she sighed theatrically. "Well, rules are rules. Next time it'll be a $50 fine." Jamie chuckled when I recounted it. Every neighborhood's got one. Smile, nod, and she'll move on. If only it had been that simple. Over the next months came infractions for a garden hose visible from the street, Christmas lights left up 3 days past the January 6th deadline, and a bird feeder attracting non-native avian species. I complied, aiming to stay off her radar. But Deborah was just getting started. Trouble truly began when Jamie's work schedule changed. Jamie, who operates heavy equipment, started parking a company truck in our driveway overnight before heading to the lot in the morning. Our long driveway easily accommodated it without blocking the sidewalk, and the bylaws allowed temporary overnight parking. Yet, one evening, a text came through from Deborah, who had somehow— I checked the bylaws. It prohibited permanent parking of business vehicles, not temporary overnight stays. I texted back explaining this. Her reply: "The bylaws are subject to interpretation by the board, and I, as president, am enforcing them as intended." Jamie laughed it off. Some people really need a better hobby. We ignored her. The truck was gone by morning, and no fine came. But Deborah wasn't done. The next weekend, we returned from grocery shopping to find 3 massive boulders strategically placed along our driveway's edge, making it impossible to park anything larger than a compact car. A note taped to one read, "Courtesy of the Pinecrest Estates HOA Beautification Committee." Fuming, I called Deborah. "Aren't they lovely?" she cooed. "We're creating a cohesive aesthetic. The board approved it." "They block my driveway." "Well, they're on the HOA easement," she claimed. "They're staying. Maybe this will encourage appropriate parking." Jamie examined the boulders, estimating them at 600 pounds each, and noted they weren't properly installed. "Amateurs," he muttered, then reassured me. "I'll handle this." The next day, While Jamie made calls, I dug into HOA regulations and property records. Turns out, Deborah's easement didn't exist. Our property extended to the street, and permanent changes required homeowner consent. We documented everything. At noon, a flatbed from Jamie's construction company arrived. Mike, his co-worker, waved as they used a small crane to remove the boulders within 30 minutes. As they secured the last one, a silver sedan screeched to a halt. Deborah leapt out, phone raised to record. "What do you think you're doing? That's HOA property." Jamie remained calm. "Good morning, Ms. Wilson. I'm removing unauthorized landscaping materials illegally placed on private property, which created a safety hazard. The HOA has every right." I approached with our property survey and the bylaws. "Actually, Deborah, per county records and HOA regulations, you can't make permanent alterations without written consent. And our property line extends to the street. I'll be happy to email this to the board." Realizing her overreach, Deborah fumed. "This isn't over. The board will hear of your disregard for neighborhood aesthetics. And they'll hear about your selective enforcement," I replied. "And how much these rocks cost the HOA." Mike chimed in. "We're donating these boulders to the community park renovation." The project manager was thrilled. He tipped his hat as Deborah's face cycled through shock and anger before she stormed off. We thought it was over. It wasn't. The following Tuesday, I came home to 7 new violation notices: lawn maintenance, unauthorized paint colors, trash bin and enough was enough. The next day, I took personal leave and headed to the county records office. By afternoon, I had HOA incorporation documents, financial records, and grievance procedures. That's when I found the bombshells. Deborah had been re-elected in a meeting without quorum. The HOA spent $220,000 on beautification in a year, well over budget, and most contracts went to her brother-in-law's company. I compiled everything into a report and created a simple website with the documents and a forum. That evening, I emailed the link to every homeowner. By morning, dozens of comments poured in. Neighbors who'd faced Deborah's petty tyranny, selective enforcement, and questionable spending. 2 days later, a former board member revealed Deborah had personally authorized the Boulder project without board approval, targeting those who challenged her. I hadn't planned to attend the next HOA meeting, but neighbors asked me to present. Jamie helped me organize my evidence. The community center was packed. Deborah opened the meeting with her trademark sweetness. "Before we begin, let's remember the board works tirelessly to maintain our standards." She shot me a pointed glare. Mr. Jenkins, the HOA vice president and a retired attorney, spoke. "Actually, Deborah, we need to address the concerns circulating. I've reviewed the documents. If accurate, and they appear to be, we have serious problems." He motioned for me to present. Deborah protested, but the motion to hear me passed easily. I presented my findings: the Boulder incident, financial mismanagement, conflicts of interest, and her improper re-election. As I concluded, the room erupted in questions and accusations. Mr. Jenkins called for an immediate audit and a vote of no confidence. Deborah objected furiously, but the vote was swift. 27 in favor, 3 opposed. Deborah and 2 loyal friends. As realization dawned on her, Deborah's face shifted through disbelief, rage, and horror. Mr. Jenkins announced her temporary removal pending the audit. Deborah's petty reign had crumbled, all because she couldn't resist blocking our driveway with boulders.